And it is time for the hot topic of the hour. President Biden turning his described big boy speech at the NATO summit into a campaign rally last night, remaining defiant that he will not drop out of the 2024 race, but waffling on whether there's a better choice for a Democrat nominee. Watch.
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears. If all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen. I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump, too.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Things are not looking good for the Biden campaign. NBC is reporting that some of Biden's closest allies see his chances of winning re-election as zero. While the New York Times reports some political insiders are weighing how to get Biden to step aside, which includes pitting Kamala Harris's chances against former President Trump. Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama both reportedly expressing concern over Biden's re-election bid in private, unsure of where to proceed after all of the public appearances and Biden's defiance to stay in. A total of 16 House Democrats and 1 senator all publicly calling for President Biden to withdraw from the presidential race. CBS News says dozens more could join them over the next 48 hours. Lee Carter, it's going to be an interesting 48 hours. That's some people saying we're going to know more information in that time frame, but you've got to believe the Democrats, led by Barack Obama, are in serious panic mode now.
They've got to be, because not only are things not looking good for Joe Biden, they're not looking good for the whole bench. When you look at the polling, when you look at Kamala Harris, you look at Gavin Newsom, you look at Gretchen Whitmer, none of them are doing better than Joe Biden. And so that's problematic, especially because we don't know how they'll perform if they were the candidate. Think back to Jeb Bush. He polled extremely well before he ran. Once he was in the role, people were looking at him saying this is not somebody who's presidential. So it's a big risk at this point to put anybody that has not been a candidate out there. And so it's not quite as easy as just saying let's get rid of Joe and put somebody else in, because I don't know who could come in and do better.
Well, I mean, that makes sense to me, Lee, because the truth is that these are all the Democrat machine policies. And it doesn't matter if it's going to be Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, or whatever bench they say they have. It's all the policies of the Democrat machine. I mean, people are questioning who's been running the country for the last year. I would say it's the Democrat machine. It's going to be the same exact policies that have gotten us here. Do you disagree?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's why you hear people like Joy Reid and others say that Joe Biden could be in a coma and I would still vote for him over Donald Trump, because it's about saying it's going to be the same no matter who's there. And I think that's what even voters believe that.
Yeah, and that's being exposed right now as we see more of President Biden's challenges. I mean, he made some extraordinary gaffes in this press conference last night and yesterday when he was at the NATO meeting talking about the Ukrainian President Zelensky actually calling him President Putin. Watch this.
And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Sharkasoni, not good.
Well,
not good at all.
There was that. And we've talked about this. This is before the G7. President Biden on the world stage can be problematic. And it was. Look at how the Italian prime minister had to walk him off and steer him away. But I want to pick up on something that you were speaking up earlier. Oh, besides the 9 times that he said anyways last night. That's for another time, I guess. But Kimberly Strassel writes in the Wall Street Journal this morning, Maria, that the Biden problem is policy. And she goes on to say say Democrats are finally beginning to admit the declining Joe Biden is a problem, if they think he's the only one or the biggest, they're as confused as he is. The sharp move to the left, policies, power grabs, deeply unpopular with the electorate. Mr. Biden is a product of this pendulum shift. So it's a bigger story, to Lee's point, and that the down ballot races are going to be now an issue. And that is why you're now seeing more and more now, I think 17 Democrats at this point have now come out publicly and said he needs to step aside. That's why Pelosi and Obama and maybe Chuck Schumer, there might be the ones, Maria, to your point, in the next 48 hours that might have to sit Biden down and finally say, we've got an issue. And I'm not sure who else he's going to listen to.
I don't think he's going to listen to any of them. I think they're all panicked. I think they've made those appeals to him already. I don't think there's, I mean, they can keep making the appeals, Rebecca, but I think they've pretty much, Obama, Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, I'm sure they've all made the appeals to him in private.
Maria, when I was growing up, there was a childhood show called Romper Room, and you would go into it and the little mirror would spin. And I feel like that's what we've entered into, for people to come out this morning and say, or last night, that he bought himself more time. This is the leader of the free world we are talking about. There is no more time if you're not legally competent. I'm sorry. And that's the way it is. And so I think it's sad for all of these Democrats that care more about getting a Democrat elected than having someone who is actually competent as the president.
By the way, Josh Krashour is on Twitter, and of course, this is he's on the mainstream media. He tweeted this yesterday: "Viewers of Fox News understood the president's condition better than our audiences, which ought to be a huge wake-up call for us." Yes, that's right. Viewers of Fox News and Fox Business knew this years ago because we have been telling the truth.